Adapting my book into an AI animated film script has taught me two things. One, your story is told purely in the body language and facial expressions of your characters. And two, getting that bit right could be alarmingly expensive. Now, I'm completely new to AI filmmaking, but let's face it, who isn't? And I'm documenting the entire process as I go along. I should point out this isn't a video about how to write a book or a film script. It's just my experience of script adaptation. Because before I even went near an AI platform, I first had to adapt my 75-page long book, Farmer Christmas, into what I thought was a short film script. You have to rip out whole pages, whole chapters. You even have to kill off some of the characters altogether. You just have to be ruthless and cut it right down. But looking back, I wish that I'd played around with AI video generation before I adapted the script, and I strongly recommend doing it that way around. First, find out what's possible, and then write or adapt your script. Now, to see what I mean, you need to know the story of Farmer Christmas. I'm not expecting you to go out and buy the book, although it is still available on Kindle at just 99 pence or $1.25. But anyway, here's the synopsis. The farm has been in the Moss family for generations, but Chris is the last of the line. His son has moved to Australia and has no interest in taking it on. One morning, Chris finds his neighbour's children feeding Randolph, the old Shire horse. They mention to him that Father Christmas doesn't visit their house because they live too far out in the countryside. Well, Chris says, of course, that that's nonsense and promises them that if they write a Christmas list, Father Christmas will definitely come this year. His wife is furious with him. She tells him that their mother can barely afford Christmas as it is, but seeing as he's made the promise, he's going to have to keep it. He will have to be Father Christmas. So she makes him a costume, and he starts building presents in his workshop, just as the real Father Christmas does in the North Pole. And then he hears a story on the radio about a racehorse that flew home. And he starts to believe that maybe all horses can actually fly. So he builds a sleigh and he disguises a team of horses to look like reindeer. What could possibly go wrong? Okay, that's the story. I wrote the book about 20 years ago and it's been sitting on the shelf ever since. And like most first novels, it's had its moments. A few friends actually read it. A few agents rejected it. I did get a really nice review from someone in America, somebody I didn't even know, and to be honest, that was a real highlight. I even mentioned it to a friend who was a producer at Aardman Animations. But the second I gave her the title, she said they'd only just released Arthur Christmas and they weren't looking for another Christmas story. Oh well. Anyhow, then AI comes along and I think, I should just make it myself. I don't yet know how, but, well, that's what this series is all about. At least I've completed the screenplay and I'm fairly happy with it. But now that I've started looking at AI video generation, I wonder if I'll be able to achieve what I want, because in any book, you have prose to describe what's going on in a character's head, but in a film adaptation, your characters have to convey all of that with just a look, a hesitation, a tiny facial expression. And I now know that generating those subtle emotional moments consistently with AI can take far more attempts and therefore far more credits than I anticipated. And also, AI has its quirks. In a real-world film, you just know that George Clooney, say, is going to look pretty much like George Clooney throughout the entire movie. But with AI, well, there's a good chance he might suddenly become Kate Blanchett or Denzel Washington. So, in order to get the exact response and the look that you want, you may have to prompt and re-prompt time and time again. And if each prompt costs you 500 credits, well, you can see how that's going to add up. So if I could go back a couple of months, I'd have played around with AI video first in order to know what's possible. It's not terribly expensive if you just subscribe for 1 month. And I did eventually sign up with OpenArt and bought a subscription that gave me 12,000 credits. Naively, I thought that should be more than enough for my entire film, but how wrong I was. I'm beginning to think a 25-minute film, even an animated one as opposed to a fully realistic cinema-type film, may be very costly indeed. Well, I'm going to find out. And if you promise to subscribe, I'll let you know how I get on.